Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of our NET podcast. My name is Sarah, and I'm joined today by a very special guest. Not only is she a law student here at Middlesex, but she's also a well-being buddy. As part of the university's well-being services, she offers support and guidance to university students on how to balance life and their well-being. So, thank you so much. Let's welcome Richa Lallchand. Thank you for having me, Sam. So, how are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. Really nice. We just had a symposium today on creativity, and it's been a success. We've had a lot of participants. I'm feeling very confident about the new year that's coming and on the reach of well-being throughout campus.
That's great, amazing. So, Richa,
Yeah.
you're a well-being buddy. So, for those of us that don't know, tell us a little bit about your role and what you do here.
Yeah, of course. So, a well-being buddy is like a well-being ambassador that we have on campus, and it concerns mental health being as well-being as well as our physical well-being. So it's not just about you when you're having some mental health issues that you come to us. It's a very holistic development that we try to promote. And when you come to us, or when any student or even staff members when they come to us, it's sometimes for advice or just for for a talk, for a simple talk. And that's what we provide. We provide a safe space to talk, and we are dead ends in terms of people who whereby you tell us anything and we won't be able to tell anyone else the same thing. So we are binded by our confidentiality clauses as well. So for us, it's really about providing a safe space on campus to talk.
That's amazing. And I feel like most of us are really always looking for this safe space, this
Exactly.
kind of confident, um, confidential, way of expressing ourselves and knowing that we're safe and we can be vulnerable. And also rightly advised on what to do next and where to go. So I feel like there's no one better than I could have had here today to
Yeah.
speak about today's topic, which is how to balance well-being and academic success. So I want to ask you, what would you say personally for you well-being looks like?
For me, well-being looks like having a safety valve, having a constant safety valve. It's about being academically driven, while also knowing when to stop, when also knowing just when to breathe a little bit, knowing when to do something that we love. I think that is well-being. It's listening to our body. It's listening to our mind. So that is the most important thing that we have to do when we are students, especially when we are students, in fact, and even after when we are going to be taking up a career. Um, our well-being is going to drive how we perform academically, professionally. So well-being for me is really that safety valve that controls the way that we operate with other people, the way that the attitude that we the attitude that we choose to adopt for other things that we do in our life, or especially, like I said, especially for our career and for our academics. And I think that that's what I will englobe it under. It's really a safety ball.
That's amazing. I couldn't have described it better myself. But I want to ask as well,
Yeah.
since you feel so deeply about well-being, when did you realize that this is something important to you and that this is something you wanted to help others with as well?
So when I left high school, and when I tried to find a path, my path, I was in different universities before coming to Middlesex University, and when I was at home, when I was away from the country, in fact, this is when I realized that my well-being and my mental health were really important aspects of my life. We are raised sometimes, especially in Mauritius, Sarah, you will know this better than me. When we are in elite schools and when we are in a competitive environment, it doesn't help in our personal growth. So when I got out of that specific setting, when I had to find my own pathway, this is when I realized that, our well-being is really, really important, and it's what either helped me, it's what really helps me into what I am today, or it just acts like a speed bump into whatever I'm trying to do. If my well-being is bad, and I'm speaking about physical and mental well-being, if it's bad, then I'm not going to be able to optimize the way that I'm working.
True, very true.
Yeah, so that's why when I had those experiences myself with understanding that when we are at a very low state we can't perform, then this is when I understood, yeah, I have to impart knowledge, and I have to really help other people who are going through the same stuff but are not aware that they are going through the same stuff.
Yeah.
So this is when I really highlighted the importance of well-being. I wanted to highlight the importance of well-being.
That's amazing, and I feel very selfless of you as well, and generous,
Thank you.
rather. And in your experience as a well-being buddy, what would you say students come to you for the most? Given that they know that you help with well-being, but what is their understanding of your services, and what do you feel like they come to you most for?
Personally, during my year of being a well-being buddy, they've come to me the most for stress management when they are crammed with deadlines. And I'm gonna be very honest, even I was in the same situation. We were crammed with deadlines, and when we are crammed with such short notices, and we just want to finish our assignments, there's a lot of pressure on ourselves. And this is when it hits us the most that our well-being is not really at its optimum state. So I've had a lot of students coming up to me for stress management. It also when they've had trouble with procrastination. Also, I had that a lot. But I also think that there could have been a lot more students coming up to us, but they think that, and I'm not going to generalize, but I'm just gonna say that there is a certain perception that well-being is just about when you have big like mental health issues. People talk about extremes like anxiety, depression, and then they think of, yeah, I have to come to well-being for her. But we are more than just a certain advisory committee. It's not an advisory committee. It's really what I've told you at the beginning. It's a safe space that we want to create. If ever you're just having, sometimes it can be just a tiff between friends that can disturb you. You need a third person advice. This is what we are. We are here for that. We are here to help you guide yourself through your emotions, process your emotions, and this is what we are here for. So yeah, we've got some students, but we would have liked to have more students come up to us and really impart the ideology of well-being throughout campus.
Definitely, and I feel like that resonates with us as well in what we do as SLAs, because most people think that it's just assignments, just
Definitely, yeah.
practice, or just
Exactly.
academic stuff.
Mhm.
But what they don't realize is most often students will come to me and be like, I don't know how to do this. I cannot cope with this. I cannot do this. But when you get down and you dig and you get down to what really is the problem, you find that they're just overwhelmed or
Exactly.
burnt out or just
Exactly.
stressed. And once you tackle the source of that problem, all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, it was that easy.
It was that easy.
That's what I couldn't do.
I remember I came for advice to you as well, and I was so stressed about one notion of my questions that I didn't understand, so I came up to you. But even now I realize it, I didn't have to wait for me to be so stressed before coming to see you as an SLA, right? So it's the same thing for us as well. We don't have to. People don't have to wait for it to be very extreme before coming to well-being buddies.
Definitely, yeah.
It was a lot about stress management and procrastination. The thing with those two notions, it's better for me to call them notions instead of issues or problems. those two notions are really ingrained in every one of us.
Definitely.
It's just in every one of us. So when I am saying, yeah, you should plan beforehand, or the best advice I could give you is to try and be more organized and more disciplined in your work. Sometimes I'm telling it to myself because I've been dealing with the same notions, right? So when we are saying it, when we are telling it to other people, we have to convince ourselves first. And while doing that, it's the process of understanding ourselves that becomes a concern. It's not about how the other person will react. It's really about how we perceive it first. And if we don't understand it first, we don't understand how to really accept the solutions that we can adopt against procrastination, against stress management, then we will not be able to help other people. It's really helping ourselves first and then help others. It's exactly like, I read it somewhere. We are jars. We all have specific jars. If my jar is empty, I cannot pour into someone else's jar. Yeah, it's as simple as that. So the concern that we've had is really filling up our jar. How to fill our jar before giving it to others. Yeah,
Definitely. And I feel like that takes a bit of self-awareness as well.
exactly. Yes.
Knowing when to stop, when to rest, and when to give to others. So, if you had to summarize all the advice,
Okay.
including, knowing when to take care of yourself and, all of this, everything that you've talked about in all consultations, I think, or
Not even conversation.
conversations.
Yeah, conversations.
So all the conversations, if you could give your top tips in specifically regarding managing well-being, but in terms of relating it to academics. So what would be your top tips?
My top tip. I think honestly it's posing, understanding, processing. Those are the big words that we normally use. And while I was, like I said, I was also in that specific engrenage of always being academically driven. So I didn't have time to understand what I was looking for, what I was better at. And it took me some time to find my safety valves, right? So I think that the biggest advice that I would like to give is, yes, you have assignments, yes, we have deadlines, yes, we have to follow our classes, but it doesn't prevent us from having 1 hour for us every day.
Yeah.
Even more, you can have more than that. It's just about working efficiently. Don't try to work hard. Working 7 hours instead of 3 hours is not better work. It's just tiring yourself.
Definitely.
One technique that has worked marvel with me is the Pomodoro Technique. Because I'm someone who has to fidget. I cannot sit in one place for really long hours. So it's been working for me. I can work for 1 hour and then 15 minutes to just go for a walk where I just talk to my sister, or sometimes we would take like 15 minutes or even more, 20 minutes break. Just the time of one Friends episode.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just the time of one Friends episode so that we can breathe really.
Yeah.
Because if your mind is not oxygenated, I would say, if you don't have that kind of space in your brain, that you won't have space to create yourself and to think about how you can pour yourself into your assignments, your deadlines, and everything else that has to come your way.
Yeah, definitely agree. And I feel like to add to that, do you know how you have to pull back the arrow before shooting?
Shooting, exactly.
So as you're pulling back, it might seem like the arrow is going further from the target, but you're really just adjusting your aim.
Exactly.
And gaining momentum, I think.
Definitely, yeah, definitely.
And that helps you definitely not miss the target.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you agree, but I'll ask anyway. Do you um, students will come to you with all kinds of issues, maybe worries, and you have to listen to all of that. And does it not get a little heavy for you?
Mm, I think that it would have been heavy if I didn't have my ways of blowing off steam. I have my specific hobbies and activities that I do aside from my responsibilities as a student, as a well-being buddy. I have things that I love doing. I really love singing. I really love music. I've been into music for a long time now, and I love watching K-dramas, Netflix. You asked me to miss a Formula 1 race, I'm gonna be so mad at you. So there are things that make up my personality, and these are things that really take you away from those issues. And like I said, it's not. Sometimes it's not issues. It's just a conversation that you have with them. So if you treat them as conversations, you're not absorbing them as a sponge.
Yeah.
You're listening to it, you're processing it, and you're learning from it. You learn from all the students who come to you. And that's the beauty of being a well-being buddy, I think. Yeah.
Definitely. So, you would say that treating the conversation as just that, a conversation, and not really internalizing what you're hearing, would definitely protect your energy.
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
And it's just not about protecting the energy. It's about really taking from what the students have been saying. It's like you're analyzing data. You've got data, you're analyzing it. You take what's important, and what's not important, you just consider it as noise, and you don't discard it, but you just put it away. Because whatever students come with, we learn, even if we learn even 5% of it, it's a lot for us.
Yeah. Right.
So I think that each and every person that comes to me is an experience. They come with their stories, they come with their ways of seeing things that I didn't see. So it's not about issues. It's always about, stories and experiences that I want to learn from.
That's amazing and very well explained. And I feel like this is something that um, some students, not all of us, but specifically in more close settings, say you're with a friend or maybe family members as well, we tend to, while trying to offer support, give too much of ourselves or internalize too much of what the other person is saying. And I feel like these tips that you so graciously shared with us will definitely help most of us learn to try to not set the boundary, but more like create a safe space.
It's safe space, yeah.
Yeah, both for the person they're listening to and for themselves within the conversation, while also kind of keeping themselves well.
Yeah, because I've had so many people. It's a new culture that we are having. I think it's our generation's culture. Whenever we have an issue with someone else, we find that sometimes I've heard that as well. I've had some cases like that. Yeah. So I feel like that this person is toxic in my life.
Oh yeah.
So I just don't want to have them in my life again. I completely understand. But sometimes when you're putting a boundary and when you're shunning them off completely of your life, you're not processing what has happened to you. You're just escaping from the situation. So most of the time I would have suggested a proper conversation first with that person, pouring your heart out. Never fear of pouring your heart out, because what you won't gain anything if you just shun that person completely off. You cut them off. It's just going to always linger in your mind. Yeah, you know what? I never got my closure with that person. That person can be toxic. I understand. I completely understand. But you explain to them why why they're toxic to you, and then they take it as they want it. As long as you understand that you've done your best to handle the situation, and then you take up steps to really amend if there are amendments to make, or if you just now, if after all those steps have been taken, if now you want to really cut them off, it's up to you. But at least you're getting closure on whatever you're doing. So yeah, I think that boundary is such a big word. It's more of a safe space that we have to create.
Definitely, yeah.
So it's people that can come in, come out, but also we regulate who comes in and who comes out and who goes out.
Yeah, very true. I feel like students who are very dependent on family members or close friends who have this, I would say, toxic behavior could really benefit from hearing what you're saying. And even if you cannot end the relationship, I feel like treating the conversations as just conversations and not being a sponge, that really helps. But also, when you're talking to people, it's not necessarily lowering yourself or
Exactly.
being vulnerable, because it takes strength.
It takes a lot of strength.
And I feel like closure is so much more helpful
and it's really helpful. Like I'm going to take the experience I've had with when I was away, when I was not in Mauritius. I think that when I was there, I got attached to the way of living there. And when you're already away from Mauritius, you tell yourself, oh, you've progressed that much. You are already so far away. You've already took so many steps to get away from that comfort zone, to thrive into it, strive into it. You work hard as you can, just get over with it, and then whenever you can come back afterwards, you come back. It's actually harder to know when to give up.
It is.
It demands a lot more courage to know when to give up, and to actually give up, than to continue persevere in that same situation. Sometimes persevering in that same situation helps you escape from another issue that you're having, another notion that you're having. But I think that knowing when to give up also is part of nurturing your well-being.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
So, to relate all of this back to the NET and academics, I would say if the issue, and this has been something I have dealt with in consultations as well, where students don't necessarily, they're not incapable of learning what's being taught. They're not incapable of doing what they have to do, whether it's assignments, writing, whether it's speaking up, etc. It's just a lot of, we don't realize it, but a lot of what we have to do here and what we think is difficult is teaching us to challenge what we have taught ourselves. So, for example, I'll take advocacy. Yeah, as a law student.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew me back then, but I could not even, you wouldn't hear my voice on camera if it was year one. Because I was shy. I was in the worst way. I would not speak up. I would hate being called on in class. And, I think I had to challenge this fear of looking stupid before I could, speak up, be confident, and not worry about what people were going to say if I messed up, which rarely ever happens, by the way. And as soon as I did that, and this is something I helped a lot of students do for the moot as I was training them, is get comfortable looking stupid, you guys.
Exactly. Yeah, I was about to tell you the same thing. It's really like every one of us, if we treat it that way, we are all stupid. We are all in the same situation. We are all learning in the same way, in the same process. We are getting the same lectures, the same slides. Why are we scared to ask a question? Yeah, we are here for that. We learn from other people's mistakes. We learn by doing mistakes ourselves. If we don't err, then we're not never gonna learn. If we're perfect from the very start, then what is there to change? What is there to better? It's nonsensical to think that we are not allowed to err. We are not allowed to be stupid. We are absolutely allowed to be stupid. Exactly. This is our time actually to experiment and to get to know. Okay, so yeah, if I talk in a certain way, it works. If I talk in another way, it doesn't work. Yeah, you know, it's like that, but that we are really experimenting, and it's our time to experiment. So we should not be scared of taking the leap and of jumping into the unknown sometimes. And even less in class, because in class we are all the same. We are, yeah. If one is going to get laughed at, it's the whole class getting laughed at because the other people didn't respond. And one student did, right? So why are we just still stigmatizing the very courageous stance of answering in class? Yeah, you can't be out stupid as everyone. And I feel like a lot of times we confuse being or actually laughing at someone and laughing with someone. With someone, yeah. And I feel like most of the time when we're in class and say I say something stupid and people laugh now, it will not hurt. I will not feel humiliated at all. Because they're laughing with me. And if I laugh alone, then I'm not the victim. Yeah. There are no victims. Yeah. That's the thing. There are no victims in the class. We laugh because maybe we would have responded the same way as that person who got up and had the courage to give up the ghost. Oh, we just got surprised. Yeah. Which is great. Either way. It's great. In either way, it's a really nice way of learning. That's all. It is. It's great. And I really admire all of what you do and what you are, and from all that I've heard so far, I really relate to a lot of what you're saying, and I've learned so much. And for those of us that want to learn more, when and where and how can we reach you? On Instagram or on campus, you're going to see me a lot of my time spent in the library. And don't think that it's because I'm studying. It's just because there's really good aircon in the library. It's just wow. Yeah, it is wow. Yeah. In any way, or if you can't reach me on Instagram, then you can try asking any of the Wellbeing members. But I am always available for any questions or anything, any conversation that you'd like to have. I'm always here. Amazing. Thank you so much. So I think that this brings us to the end of our episode. Thank you so much for having me. It was great. It was amazing. It was a pleasure. And for you guys, please like, subscribe, and if there's anything that really resonated with you from our conversation, and if there's anything that you would like to share with us regarding well-being and academics, please drop that in the comment below, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye bye.